We love where we live in East Texas, right between two bigger cities, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and Shreveport. But being in the middle means tracking severe weather can have added challenges. The distance from Weather Service radars in Fort Worth and Shreveport creates a potentially dangerous gap. Tonight, we're reporting on efforts to improve weather radar coverage by putting East Texas first. Henderson, Texas is 60 miles from the National Weather Service radar in Shreveport, but the Rusk County city is right in the middle of a debate. Does East Texas need its own Doppler radar?
Yes, most definitely need one in this area.
Rusk County Emergency Management Coordinator Patrick Dooley vividly recalls the Memorial Day 2015 tornado that went through the heart of Henderson.
And so when the tornado came through here in 2015, I had one of my guys, Michael Searcy, sitting over at the airport here, and all I remember him was coming across the radio saying, "Tornado." And next thing you know, it's coming through town. Gets all the way to the other side of the county, and then at that time our code red alert system went off after the fact.
No tornado warning until after the EF2 tornado smashed up more than 300 homes and businesses in Rusk County and Henderson. Luckily, no one was killed, but Dooley says that storm proves there's a radar gap in East Texas.
We're not trying to put anybody down saying your equipment's bad or you're just not, we're trying to do this as a safety measure for our citizens.
We have a gap here, and it's hurting us.
Northeast Texas Congressman Morans is pushing for East Texas to have its own radar. That's why he's introduced the Rural Weather Systems Monitoring Act.
What this bill specifically does is say, look, within 4 months of passing this bill, you, federal government, must actually do a study to identify these gaps in radar systems around the nation.
Moran is referring to this map from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It shows 34 holes where NEXRAD radars have limitations below 10,000 feet. That includes many areas here in East Texas. Moran points to a study of the impact of increasing the lead time of tornado warnings by just 5 minutes.
If we can fill that 5-minute gap, the prediction is that we will reduce injuries by 47% to individuals in this area. Those are telling statistics to say, minute by minute, we can save lives.
NEXRAD, or Next Generation Radars, are the backbone of severe weather coverage. Commissioned in the 1990s, the Weather Service upgraded the radar systems in 2013 for better detection. We asked Shreveport National Weather Service meteorologist Brad Bryant to explain this sophisticated process.
The shape of the wave as it goes out, that energy packet may have a different shape coming back depending on the target it's hitting and which way the target's moving.
That's how meteorologists know if it's rain or snow or if there is rotation. NEXRAD radars can detect rain, snow, or ice 200 miles away, but that far out, the level of detail drops, and that's where the radar gap develops. But what causes the gap? Here's the issue. The Doppler beam leaves the radar site at the National Weather Service in Shreveport and begins to travel. When that beam, traveling mostly straight, arrives here in East Texas, because of curvature of the Earth, it can be shooting as high as 3,000 feet above the surface. For instance, here in Henderson. Western Smith County, it can be as high as 6,000 feet, and in southern Cherokee County, as high as 8,000 feet. That means some severe weather is too far away for radars in Shreveport and Fort Worth to see. Anything close to the ground can slip under the radar, and that's what Moran's legislation aims to eliminate.
We need a system here in between that fills that gap.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration stops short of calling it a radar gap, but acknowledges there are some areas of East Texas with NEXRAD coverage higher than 6,000 feet above ground level. Jessica Schultz, the Deputy Director of NOAA's Radar Operations, says to improve low-level coverage, a low-elevation angle was added to Shreveport NEXRAD in 2019. She added, even if the beam is 3,000 to 8,000 feet or higher above ground, radar is just one tool forecasters use to issue timely and accurate warnings.
This area of southeastern Oklahoma is in what's a big gap.
Durant, Oklahoma. The Magnolia City in Bryan County sits 105 miles from Norman, Oklahoma, and 112 miles from Fort Worth. The lowest elevation radar sees here is almost 12,000 feet. A deadly tornado hit the tiny town of Blue the same day Henderson got hit in 2015.
It was not indicated by radar. Actually, our spotters on the ground was able to see the tornado, and we relayed that information back to the National Weather Service to then get a warning issued.
The deadly twister prompted the state of Oklahoma to budget $1.5 million to build a gap filler radar just outside Durant. It doesn't have as much power power as NEXRAD radar, but will detect storms up to 85 miles away.
Having this radar available will help emergency management notify the public much faster, sooner, if something such as a tornado is expected in the area.
And not only does it serve southern Oklahoma, but North Texas is benefiting from this also.
Back in Texas, we may have to settle for a gap filler radar. NOAA says no more NEXRADs are available for installation. NOAA will be evaluating supplemental radar from the private sector between now and April of 2024. Congressman Morans says any radar is better than none.
Whether or not it's NEXRAD, whether or not it's a temporary gap filler, whether or not it's a next generation NEXRAD, we want to continue to push for life and safety.
But East Texas residents have a long wait ahead of them. Consider this. Durant's radar journey took more than a decade to build. Let's hope it doesn't take a tragedy to speed up the timeline here in East Texas.
Well, the National Weather Service is experimenting with new radar technology called phased array radar. PAR will have faster and more detailed scans, but it may be a decade or more before the National Weather Service builds any phased array radars. Until then, if East Texas wants a radar, we may have to rely on a private company to build one first.